We are both freshmen at UC Berkeley, and today we're going to talk a little bit about 13 things that we wish we knew before coming to college.
So it was really hard at first for me to look for food that I could relate to, back to like Chinese food or whatever, or Asian food. But at UC Berkeley, there's so much different cuisines that you could get. Literally anything you want, you could definitely find it. And they're all pretty decent, and they're pretty good.
Now I will say German food isn't really going to be that great. It's not going to be bad, you can still eat it and it's fine. However, on-campus restaurants I honestly really like. Obviously there's some that aren't as good, but for the most part campus restaurants are pretty solid. And I feel I've had a pretty decent experience every single time so far.
Yeah. But I'm gonna be making a separate video about food at Berkeley, so maybe you guys can watch that if you guys are interested.
I feel Berkeley has this reputation that it's super dangerous, and you need to be home by a certain time or else you're basically screwed. And honestly, obviously it's not that bad, but that reputation does come for a reason. And just give a quick example, right? A few days ago, there was gunshots at this one park that we live pretty close to, and so yeah, it's definitely a little bit strange. Personally, I haven't had too many bad experiences. I know some others who also really haven't had too many, but at the same time, I know people who have. So I would say just practice general safety, right? Don't come home during 1 a.m. in the morning, and if it is super late, then there's different resources that you could use. Yeah.
So for example, there's Bear Walk, and I personally have used it quite a few times. At first, they kind of just walk you back, and you just feel a lot safer. You're not alone, and that person probably is well trained to handle any kind of situation. So would really recommend you guys looking into more of these different services. So I'm also an MCB major, which is molecular and cellular biology. In Berkeley, the school is so big, and there's so many people and so limited professors that take students. So it's really difficult for you to gain or land a research opportunity. So what I would recommend as an international student, you should gain experience onto your resume from your own country or where you come from. For example, I'm going back during the summer to Hong Kong to do some research with some professors at the universities. That will make your application a lot stronger when you're coming back here to try to look for opportunities.
Next, we're going to talk a little bit about club culture. Now, clubs are honestly my favorite and least favorite thing about UC Berkeley, just because in business clubs in particular, because I'm a business major, the business clubs are really good and developed, and really amazing opportunities for you to get that professional experience that you need. But in the same time, though, they're very exclusive and a little bit elitist at some point. So for example, when it comes to consulting clubs, acceptance rates are pretty low, and you generally have to do something to make yourself stand out in order to actually get in. Which honestly could be a little bit difficult because everyone's at Berkeley, everyone's super smart, so it could be difficult to differentiate yourself from such a competitive pool. But I feel as long as you really show the people that are part of the club that you really want to be in, you'll be okay. For example, you could try messaging all the members on LinkedIn and say, oh, can I have 20 minutes of your time to talk to you about the club? And if you do that for maybe 5 officers before recruitment even starts, I feel that makes you look really competitive, really good. And overall, it's just making those really small steps that other people aren't doing in order to help yourself get into certain clubs, because at the end of the day, you're just people, and naturally people are going to respect other people really trying to make an effort. So I feel it goes both ways.
Yeah, I think effort is super important, especially when you're trying to gain a position. Even in research positions or internships, as long as you're persistent and you show that you're really committed to wanting that position. Usually after a while they'll be okay, I see that you're super persistent and you really want this, and I'll give you the chance to take it, and also in terms of clubs, I feel a lot of people say that they're really cutthroat, but there are clubs out there that will definitely be to your liking. There's just so many clubs, you can definitely find something that you would want to be a part of.
Let's talk about the campus. So I feel I've heard not the best things about Berkeley's campus. I had the impression that it wasn't really going to be great, first coming into it. And honestly, I was right and wrong, right? So, some parts of campus are super beautiful, other parts are really gross, honestly. And so it kind of goes both ways. For me personally, I absolutely love the business school here. It's super pretty, it feels so good. And other parts, the Valley Life Sciences building, they're really nice. However, there's definitely other parts where it just isn't as good, but I feel like that's just kind of how the real world is, right? There's gonna be parts that are super pretty, some parts that aren't as pretty, and it really is just, realistic and representative of what the real world is like.
Yeah, so next we're just gonna talk about like the different dorms that Berkeley provides. So there's like the units, so there's unit 1, 2, and 3, and like out of the units, the best units is probably unit 2, right?
Unit 1 and 2.
Unit 1 and 2. And right now we're in Unit 2 Toll, which I personally recommend because it's like a mini suite. You get your own bathroom and stuff like that. And you have like either you're in a double or a triple, and you still get like the experience of like being in like college dorms and like meeting new people and stuff like that.
And then as for the other dorms, there's other ones called, Blackwell, Carter. There's honestly like 7 or 8 different dorms. I really don't know. But I would say, when you're applying for housing, it is random, and so you're going to have to fill out a preference form. And I would say, fill out Blackwell as your top one just because it's like a little mini hotel. And then afterwards, put down the units. So, 1 and 2. Unit 3, I would be a little bit hesitant about just because it's a little bit further away from campus and also just isn't as nice. Then afterwards, I'll put maybe something like Clark Kerr, which is super, super pretty, but it's just far away.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your first 3, I think it should really be Blackwell and then Unit 1 and 2. That just seems to be the most convenient for most people, I would say.
Yeah.
And you really can't go wrong with either 3 of them.
Yeah. Oh, but like when you do fill out the thing, like make sure your last choice is like any housing choice, because like some of my friends didn't put that in, and then they got put into like temporary housing where they were like living with like 4 other people in like a small like study room. So just make sure you guys put that. It's very important.
Now, everything that we said about housing just now really only applies to freshman year. So freshmen are going to be on campus housing on the dorms, but then after that, you're going to be living mostly in apartments. And so, it's not like something like Stanford where you basically get 4 years guaranteed housing, or something like UCLA is implementing now. Instead, you just get 1 year of housing inside a dorm, and then after that, you basically find an on-campus or off-campus apartment. So yeah, you'll have to find an independent contractor, form a lease, get some roommates together, and sign the contract together. It's a little bit of a hassle, but honestly, it's really good preparation for the real world because inevitably, once you graduate, that's what you're going to be doing. And so, yeah, just be prepared to, figure out how getting an apartment works, getting a lease, trying to figure out, how to get roommates and everything. Just make sure to get prepared for that. Now, even though it might be a little bit of hassle, overall, I would say being in an apartment is a positive just because it's really, really nice. It's probably going to be cheaper. And overall, I feel like most people have had pretty decent experiences.
So next, we wanted to just touch upon like the people and I guess the stereotype that people give Berkeley students. So I think me and Kevin were just talking about how honestly these stereotypes are the different types of people in the different UCs or the different colleges or whatever. It's a bunch of crap, I feel like every single school would have the same type of people. It's just maybe a ratio thing, or you'll find different people, or in every single college.
Honestly, no matter what the college is, you're going to be able to find your own niche. Let's say that you're really into parties. At any college, you'll find those type of people. Let's say you're just really into studying or playing video games. You're going to find those people. And Berkeley is no different. There's other types of people for every single type of person. And honestly, you just have to be able to put in the effort to find your niche.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people say that Berkeley students are they just study and that's all they do, but that's absolutely not true. You can have people who are partying every single day, frat guys or sorority girls partying every day, and then you would find them studying in the library every single morning, and it's really just about that kind of balance between the two different types of lives, I guess.
And I guess that does touch upon balance a little bit. You are going to find people who all the time are just, out all day and not doing any work. You're going to find people who are just in all day doing all the work. But for the most part, I'll say most people are really, really balanced, and people are able to find a really good balance between life, work, extracurriculars, job stuff, etc., etc., etc. And it's a really good culture to kind of build yourself off of because it does, help every single aspect of your life.
So I think one thing that is true about Berkeley is that the major lower differential classes, they are they're very big classes. For example, my chemistry class, there's 500 people in it, so you'll never really actually meet your professor or know them, and they'll never know who you are either. And that's completely fine, because I think the important thing is that your relationship with your GSI, which is the graduate student. Wait, what does GSI stand for?
Graduate student instructor.
Okay, graduate student instructor. And like as long as you like kind of like have a relationship with them and like you know be friends with them and stuff like that, like usually like they are also like in a research facility or whatever, and it's the graduate students that take in undergraduate students for internships or like for experiences. So you should honestly like really make an effort to befriend your GSIs instead of trying to talk to your professors, because it's like probably like you probably won't really get the chance to do so. There's just so many people.
Okay, now we're going to talk about something that I had no idea existed before coming to college. That's called PassNoPass. So essentially, if there's a class that you are not going to get an A in and you're probably going to get like a B or C, but you don't want it to affect your GPA somehow, then you can basically just PassNoPass it, and all of a sudden now it's not going to affect anything. So you're either going to get So if you get over 70, then it's called a pass. If you get under 70, you don't pass it. And neither are going to affect your GPA. Now the trade-off is that this only applies for classes that aren't part of your major. So if you're like a business major, you can't do this for business classes. However, if you are a business major and you're taking like a astronomy class like I am right now, then you can pass it, like I just did a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but I would recommend that if you wanted to pass a class, you should wait until maybe like after you finish your first midterm to see how you're doing in the class before you make that decision. Because like there is a limit of how many classes you can pass. I think it's like a third of your classes can be pass. So make sure you like choose wisely. So in Berkeley, there's this thing called like breadth classes, which is basically like classes that like different like 7 different categories that you need to fulfill outside of your like major requirements. If you have like difficult major requirement classes in your semester, taking a breath is kind of like taking a breath of fresh air. No pun intended.
So yeah, once again, there's hundreds of different classes that fulfill each breath, and they all kind of overlap. Now, some classes could fulfill multiple breaths, but you can only really choose one for it to fulfill. So if you take one class that fulfills 3 different breaths, you can only choose one of them, right? And then so you can't just like have that class and then fulfill all 3. And honestly, like there's so many choices, and so you can just go through like the course catalog and filter by a certain, like let's say like biological science breath, and then there's hundreds of different classes that you could be taking. So honestly, just choose whatever one interests you the most, and whichever one you think that you're going to enjoy the most, because they are really just for your own personal enrichment. And personally, you can have a really good experience with them or a really bad experience with them. It's really up to you. Anyways, so those are 13 things that we wish we knew before coming to UC Berkeley. Now overall, I just want to say that, at the end of the day, it's just college, and I feel like most college experiences are going to be relatively the same. You're just coming here to go to school, you're going to be around a bunch of people, it's going to be clubs, and honestly, you can't really go too wrong with any college that you want to, because at the end of the day, it really is what you want to make of it, and it's up to you whether or not you want to make that college experience a good one or a bad one. And so yeah, Berkeley is a big. So yeah, once again, it's really just college. Just do whatever you want with it, and hopefully you make some right decisions and you have a good time.
Yeah, and I think something I guess like that really struggled for me before coming here is that like figuring out, do I actually want to go forward with this major? Do I actually like want to do this for the rest of my life? But like, just because you go into college thinking that you're going to major in something does not mean that you don't have the flexibility and the freedom to like change your major to something else, or even minor in something else. Like there's so much like space and freedom for you to decide like what you want to do, and like you to discover like your own passions and your own like new hobbies or whatever. So like there's like so many like it doesn't matter like if you come in with one mindset, you would leave with another.
Anyways, so that's the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let us know in the comments if you have any more questions and we'll go and answer them. Yeah. And yeah, anything else?
No.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.